Hello there. After watching the attempts at the movies that Warner Brothers DC have created for the DCEU in recent years, with a couple of gems in there, I'm going to say Shazam was alright. I really liked the first Wonder Woman. And Aquaman was pretty good. We can say the rest have been, we can call them generously middling. Yeah, we'll call it that. It makes me nostalgic for some of the more traditional, the older DC attempts. Because lo and behold, when I watched Birds of Prey, I recall the 2002 TV series of the same name. Not quite the same concept, but like the original Flash series, it's a very good attempt at an early series. It actually crops up again in the Crisis of Infinite Earths series made for the Arrowverse, where you actually go back into that universe very, very briefly and see that, things are still ticking along quite nicely there. The series was a well-scripted, well-balanced attempt at a DC series. It only lasted one season, and I don't think it ever really hit the ground running. It was originally broadcast, I think, on Sky One, and although that's an excellent channel back from 2002 for something like this to have been on, or maybe Sky Atlantic actually, it didn't really take off. Pun intended, I'm sorry. Not sorry. But with the really middling performances of the more recent attempts by DC to make anything remotely resembling a good movie, with bad writing, bad acting, bad dialogue, poor cinematography, lackluster performances of the villains generally, and overpowered heroes in some cases, the movies and the series they've produced recently have simply not been compelling, which, when I look back on these older series where you see characters that have flaws, they make mistakes, they have to grow, they have to overcome a little adversity, and you believe that there's actually a hero's journey going on, you want to arc back to something like The Flash of the early 90s, or, in this case, Birds of Prey from 2002. It had many of the major sort of hallmarks of a show you would have. You've got all your extravagant villains, but you've also got multiple major characters from the comic books, and is a female-led series, which you think in the modern age would mean that this thing would be held in a little bit more regard and a bit more, rose-tinted goggles of just how progressive and forward this series was. It starred Ashley Scott as Helena Kyle, the Huntress. Dina Meyer, who is a delightful actress, by the way, pops up everywhere and is absolutely fantastic, as Barbara Gordon / Batgirl / Oracle. And, more interestingly, Rachel Skarsten, who you may actually remember as playing Alice in the remake Batwoman series. In this, she plays Dinah Lance. You've also got the equally gorgeous and amazing Shamar Moore as the police officer, the ever delightful Ian Abercrombie as Alfred Pennyworth, and an incredible performance, which is a forgotten gem of a performance, by Maya Sara as Dr. Harleen Quinzel, and I'm sure you can guess who that bloody is. And as to my knowledge, this was one of the earliest, if not the earliest, live-action portrayals of Harley Quinn in any media. And she's a forgotten performance. She plays the character a little bit more grounded, still unhinged, but you get Mark Hamill as the Joker in flashback sequences. I mean, this show had everything going for it. Also, minor cameo episode with Joe Flanagan, who, for those of you amongst those who are Stargate fans like myself, will know him from Stargate Atlantis. And this was at the height of Stargate Atlantis. I mean, literally, I think right before he was in Stargate Atlantis, he was in this. And other characters like Brian Thompson, Silas Weir Mitchell. You've got so many people that will be in so many amazing shows in future years. Mitch Pileggi. We've got Skinner from the X-Files, and the late Annie Wersching, who the Star Trek fans amongst you on my channel will know as the Borg Queen from the Star Trek Picard series. This series was truly amazing, with some great characters, some great performances, and some fantastic writing. It just simply didn't take off at its time, but I think if you give it a chance, you can pick this up on DVD off Amazon. I think you can also, it's on some streaming services, but I don't think it's anywhere for free, so you're just going to have to look it up and see if it's one you can get, possibly again through Amazon. But I would highly recommend you go back and give this show a watch. I mean, it's so much fun, and is actually a well-developed, well-thought-out series that simply deserves more attention and more remembering than what it gets. So I highly recommend it. And if you're into DC comics, if you're into DC live action, and you like the Arrowverse, I guarantee you will like this. I'd just like to say a thank you to everyone for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoy making these. If you did enjoy it, please consider giving a like, share, and a subscribe, and maybe checking out the other videos on the screen right now. And in the description box below, there are links to my other social media accounts.